going to talk about virtual a little bit and how your computers work, okay? So I'm assuming since you guys are on, you know a little bit already. They've shown you how to use your student number and your birthday to get in. Mr. Otero or somebody has shown you how to select multi-monitors, correct? Everybody knows that, okay. What they might not have told you is when you're sitting here working on a computer, you're used to it being the computer, like the computer here, and anything you do would stay on this computer. In a virtual world, all of your processing and all of the power is actually in our server room over there. So all you have here are screens, keyboards, and mice. Everything else is happening in our server room. You can right now log in, be in the middle of something, stand up, go to another station, and log in with your student number and birthday, and it'll transfer all the information from your other screen to your new screen. So if we come around and need to work on your computer and you're in the middle of something, it doesn't really matter. We just say, hey, would you move over there for a second? Just do what we ask. Just stand up, move over, type in your student number and birthday, and all your work just goes bloop right onto the other screen, which is pretty cool. Now, there are a few shortcuts on your desktop that Mr. Otero will have you working on. There are some programs that do not work well in a virtual world. Video cameras is one of them. So we have the power to pull the computer at your local station up through the desktop, and you can still run things from your physical computer. As a matter of fact, there's some software packages on here, Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the video editing software. That runs very, very poorly in a virtual environment.
After Effects and
thank you.
Encore, which is the DVD authoring program. Those won't work well in that environment.
All of those things are really too encompassing to run well in a virtual environment. So when you double click the icon on your desktop that says local, what you're really doing is running that program from the physical computer. And those programs will run much better. But for the most part, you can be using the virtual system. Another thing that's very cool about this is how many of you have the Adobe Creative Suite at home, which is about, what, $4,000 or something like that to purchase? I don't know.
A couple grand, yeah.
A couple grand? No one. Gee, I'm surprised. How many of you have internet access at home? Okay. If you take your web browser and go to view.jefftech.us, a web page will come up, and you have two options. You can install a client, or you can actually click over on the right-hand side, which is a web interface, and that desktop that you see in front of you right now will appear on your computer at home, and you can run all of our software sitting at home. So we actually transfer the keyboard, mouse, and screen to your computers at home. So Mr. Otero can assign homework to his little heart's desire because you can actually sit at home and use our software packages. Yes?
Okay, so what if you have like one of the older computers?
If it supports the internet, it probably will work.
If it's like a slow computer.
If it supports the internet, it probably will work. Nothing that your computer is doing all it does is have to display the screen. It doesn't use any of your computer's power.
Oh.
Okay, so you have to understand how that works. Also, when you log on, you may have noticed that you have two different choices of computers. There's a digital media technology computer, and there's a Windows 7 standard. Every kid in the building gets presented with the Windows 7 standard. That's the one you should be using if you're out in the library lab or you're in an English class or whatever. And it doesn't have all the fancy software on it for Adobe Creative Suite. So not everybody is presented with multiple computers. You know, a lot of kids will log on throughout the building and they only get the Windows 7 desktop because they don't have any need to be doing the Adobe stuff like you guys in digital media do. So be aware of how it works. You should log off at the end of every day. Realize that if somebody comes in and sits down right now and you leave that on the screen, they have access to all of your work. And on that subject, you should save all of your work to your My Documents area or to Mr. Otero's network storage, and I'm sure he'll tell you how to do that, okay? But if you're out in English class and you're doing a big complicated Word document and you save it to your My Documents and then you let your computer log on, somebody can come in and go to your My Documents and do what to your work?
Kill it.
Delete it. They can kill it. So never leave your computers logged on. It's your computer. Now, a couple other things you need to know, because this is kind of complicated, so bear with me. The computer, the virtual computer that you're using, if you create shortcuts on your desktop, they will stay. If you come in the next day, and even if you move to a different computer, all of those shortcuts will come with you, all right? But if you make changes to your computer, when you log off, that computer is actually vaporized, and a brand new clean one is built every day.
Explain to them explain to them what you mean when you say make changes to your computer. Like what an example of that.
Okay, so let's make believe that you're working on a project and you've put hours into it, and you don't listen to Mr. Otero or I, so you just save it to your C drive. Just create a folder on the C drive and you save it to the C drive, because that's what you do at home, right? You save everything to your C drive. As soon as you get up and walk away, everything that you just did is gone, because the C drive on your computer is vaporized every day. End of story. If you put anything on the C drive, it will be gone. Now, you can put something on your desktop and it should follow you, but that's not a good idea either, because once in a while we'll install new software and we have to wipe out your desktops. So really the only safe place to be putting stuff is either on Mr. Otero's network storage or on your My Documents. Those are the only places that I can guarantee you that you won't lose anything. What's very nice about this and why it works so well is, I'm sure in your other schools when you went to a computer lab, almost every time you went there, there was a bunch of computers that didn't work. And the reason they don't work is because a lot of times the kids who were there before you were trying to screw around with them. It's a game to see what we can do to break the computers, all right? You can go to your computer right now, you can go to the C drive and you can delete all kinds of stuff. You can do everything you can to try to destroy that computer because you think you're smart. And as soon as we disconnect it, all of that stuff you just did to try to screw it up is gone. So the computer you're using today is not the computer you used yesterday. You may think it is, but it's not. It's a brand new one. Yes, physically, you still got the same keyboard and the screens and that box sitting there. That's still the same, but nothing that you actually did on the software or on the hard drive is the same. It's all gone. So you really can't mess these up. And I think it'll be a lot more stable that way for you too. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that was a lot. It's a lot for people to comprehend. Biggest things here is, remember, save your stuff to your documents or Mr. Otero's network server. And if you want to access our stuff from home, it's view.jefftech.us.
And the login is just the same.
And the login is your student number and birthday, yes.
How do you get into that from like logging in from like when how do you view like when you've already logged in on your own desktop?
When you're already logged on?
If you have like, no, you're on your own desktop.
You mean at home?
At home? Yes, go ahead.
You go into like.
Why don't you show us? So.
Okay, so
open
you're
up,
looking at
open
this
up
at
Internet
home.
Explorer.
Yeah, but just not the viewing. It's just like my regular desktop, not the actual.
How do you get to it?
How do you get to
Open
it?
up Internet Explorer.
Yeah, you just go to, it's a website.
Oh.
You do it through
It's
the
just
web.
a website. You instead of going to
Oh, she didn't understand
Facebook.com, you go to view.jefftech.us.
Go ahead and type it in. So
It won't work here, by the way.
Right,
You can
but-
type it in so you know what to put in.
So it's just http:// just like any website.
What?
HTTP.
You don't even need the HTTP.
Okay.
Just put in view.jefftech.us.
Not www. You don't need that.
Yeah, it won't work if you put
Right.
www in front.
That would be the website you would go
Oh,
to.
It is working. You guys, if you want to try it, it wasn't working yesterday.
Check. Why don't you guys check it out so you can see what it would look like from home?
I clicked the.
So, well, wait till everybody gets there so I can explain this to you.
Okay.
Oh, that actually has to install the client then.
Well, you don't have to. There's two choices. I'm going to explain that to them.
Okay.
So just bring up
Everything
Internet
in there.
Explorer and go to view.jefftech.us.
Okay. Just you can go right up
I'm gonna freak my mom out.
in your title bar up there.
I already gotta do all this fancy shit.
Just type it in and hit enter. So if you guys try to get in from home, that's what you're going to see as your starting point. Are we getting in? I don't see anything over there.
And she did, but this one isn't.
Okay. That's all right if they want to just come over to her machine and look at it.
Yeah, that's weird, though.
I don't know.
Mine's not coming up either.
None of these are coming up white as well.
I have no idea why hers would have came up.
Don't know.
Well, anyways, come on over here,
Why don't you guys come over here and
I
take a
just
look?
typed
I was surprised to see it.
So that's the screen you'll see when you try to get on from home.
Now, we won't be able to go much further with this because you can't run a virtual computer from within a virtual computer. But if you see on the screen there, there's a left and a right. If you do the left one, it'll take you to a website where you can actually download and install the VMware View client. And you have to go through some procedures, and it's not complicated, but you're welcome to do that. It puts an icon on your desktop, and whenever you want to connect to Jeff Tech, you just double click it. What's easier for you is to use the one on the right. When you click on the one on the right, let's try it and see how far it goes.
Probably not gonna go much farther.
When you click on the one on the right, it asks you, it'll bring up your login. So if you put in your student number and your birthday, go ahead. We'll see how far it lets us go.
Now realize as well, guys, even though if you're trying to work with video, as we said, video isn't going to process well via virtual. So don't think you're going to be able to get in there and edit. It's already clunky as it is, and then to turn around and try to transfer video over the web, you're just going to see a series of still pictures just
well,
going.
It's surprisingly good. It won't be quite as good as here, but if you have a nice fast Comcast cable system, you'll be surprised.
Really?
Yes, it does. It works very well. It's not like you with RDP.
Yeah.
It's a completely different.
Ah.
Yeah, it works surprisingly well. Okay, so if you look here on the screen, she has two choices of computers. She either does the Windows 7 standard or the digital media. If you do the digital media, I don't know what's going to happen because you're in virtual trying to do virtual. But you see, it's actually opening up within Windows. Within your Internet Explorer, it's logging in and showing you a desktop.
I can't believe it actually did that. We're already on a virtual.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I have a desktop and a desktop.
I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. There you go. Now be careful because you got two start buttons. The one on the bottom is your physical computer at home. The one up above it would be the virtual computer. But you can see within Internet Explorer, she has the complete digital media desktop.
Yep,
and if she runs a program, it should work.
So everything that we have here, our computer,
Your
CS6,
network storage.
all of the software packages with the Adobe Creative Suite and Blender, the 3D animation program. The only thing you're not going to have access to is a special blend of programs that we have back in the studio that are only for studio production. They're only running on the local machine. They're very processor intensive, and they won't run in the virtual. So you won't have access to some of the stuff that you guys are going to see in the studio this week, okay? But this is pretty cool. Oh, we do need to show them and explain the difference between accessing our virtual classroom as they normally would through our website versus, remember when you access it through the website, it will not activate the webcams. Remember that? We had to set up a separate link on the desktop for that. You want to explain that to them?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that virtual doesn't work well with cameras, and Mr. Otero has a virtual classroom that he likes to use for the cameras. So if you're just going to go to the dmtstudio.net website and look at curriculum and do work, you can just use Internet Explorer and you can just go there through the virtual machine. That's not a problem. But if you're going to be doing a virtual classroom with Mr. Otero and he wants you on camera, you have to use the icon here that is dmtstudio.net virtual classroom. What that does is it actually runs the program from the physical computer and uses the camera on the physical computer, and it works better. By the way, the update to View fixes that problem, so later on this year we might be able to get rid of that and actually use the camera within the virtual. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to test it.
And then we did the same thing. That's why you see here on the desktop, you see Encore, After Effects, and Premiere. Those links are put right on your desktop there so that you can run those programs locally. Physically on that machine.
But be aware, if you go home tonight and you log on from home, you don't have those programs on your computer at home because you were saying about how yours is so old. Those icons won't be there because they're only presented up here because the software is running on that computer. Now, you still have access to those programs through the normal start menu, but they will run very, very poorly if you try to do them from home. If you got something quick you need to do, you can probably get in and you can probably do it. But I wouldn't want to work on a big project for a long period of time without using the local software.
I'll have some of the guys test out. I'll have Clayton test out the audio editing. That would be nice to know if we could do. Yeah.
So is mine.
It would be cool if we could do audio editing. We know we could do any of the graphics programs. You'll be able to do flash animation,
But I'm
Photoshop.
you'll still be surprised at
you
how
know.
well the video plays
Well, I'll try
on a
it.
slow internet connection. Yes, you'll be surprised.
That
And
shocks
the audio,
me.
the way the audio comes over, you will be very surprised at how. I'm not saying it's perfect.
Yeah.
But you'll be surprised at how well it is.
So to do
for
real
working at
basic
home.
stuff, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a lot of what we do here with the really fine-tuned graphics and whatnot, you need to have high resolution to be able to see clearly. So we'll try it out, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you work within your limitations. But the good news is, regardless, you guys now, for the next 4 years, as you're trying to build your career and build your portfolio, you can use this software on your own time at home for your benefit. That's huge, you know?
The other thing too is even from an academic standpoint, you're not allowed to bring flash drives in. So if you want to work on an English paper, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, I'll do it at home and put it on a flash drive. Well, no, you won't, because when you bring it in, you can't access it. So if you have an English paper that, because of viruses, and also the things that can be put on flash drives that are inappropriate for schools, so we don't allow them. So what you do is if you've got an English paper, you sit here, you work on it while you have time in the library or whatever, and you save it to your documents. You go home, you connect, you go to your My Documents, there's your work, you double click it, you finish it up, you save it, you come to work, you come to school, you open it up and you print it. And by the way, you can print at home too. You can actually you can use Jeff Tech's computer and print your document at home.
That's cool.
Yeah. So you can sit at home, finish your paper, and print it out if you want to. And all of that with Jeff Tech's computers. So if you don't have Office 2010 at home, yeah, you do. Just use view.jefftech.us. If you don't have Adobe Premiere, yeah, you do. Just use jefftech.us.
And they could use this like Hannah was doing some dual enrollment last year. She was actually taking an English class at a community college to get college credits. Would they be able to use this for a college assignment down the road?
Yeah, of course, a lot of that stuff is already accessible through the internet, so they could just use their own internet service at home. But yeah.
No, I mean like for projects.
Oh,
for a
yes.
class project.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. I wouldn't know why they couldn't.
Cool. Any questions, guys? All make sense?
Also, try to have Hannah or Mr. Terra show you how to access the grade portal. They probably don't know.
Why
how
don't
to
we
get
go
in.
ahead and do that real quick while
Get
we're
in
here
MMS
for all
and
new
show 'em how to
students,
get
because
in
we
the
got
grade portal.
we got about 6 kids in the afternoon too that should see this.
Hey,
So
if you guys need anything, just holler. Okay?
thanks, Mr. Wachob.
I know that was a lot. Try to absorb some of it.
17 minutes and 53 seconds.
Okay, well you just go to the grades
It
button
wasn't.
up
It
here.
just felt like 4 hours.
Yeah, it just
but-
felt like 4 hours. You just go to the grades button up here, and you click it. And you gotta hit student portal access over here. And you click here. And this is just your student ID number. And your birthday.
Now you're not going to see anything in MMS yet because we're not there yet. But once the assignments start getting put in and
Yeah.
your grades get put in,
So
show
like there's all
where-
my classes. And
Okay, so
your
those are-
grades would be right here. And like you can look at your schedule too.
there you go.
Yeah, it's senior schedule.
Okay. That all making sense? Cool. All right, let's take some pictures.